All right, good evening. And whoever's watching this later on, this is the fourth class in the first series that we put together, myself and some beautiful healers, Healing Beyond Humanity. And I'm very, very excited what's to come next in the next run of series, right? But this one is going to be based on blockages, identifying them, looking at them a little bit different. Everything comes with awareness. Once you become aware of something, you really can't go back. You kind of stay in that awareness, and then you keep on trucking and keep on working through, acknowledging, healing, and growing. And that's kind of like the circle of it all. Okay. I do want to do like a 5 minute just grounding. So, same thing, like this is not a healing one. This is just kind of grounding, the hustle and bustle, the rushing from work. I know the different time zones, depending on whenever you sit down to watch this. So, just want to do a quick 5 minute one to get us in a calmer state. Okay. Let me put my timer on real quick. Sometimes I won't pay attention. Where's my stopwatch? Okay. Timer. Okay. All right. So make sure that you are sitting in a comfortable, but you want your back to be straight, comfortable, but in a straight position. Put your feet planted on the ground. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. Make sure you're in a place where, of course, you can listen to the meditation, that you can hear it. So put some earphones on, headphones on, okay? Or kick everybody out of the room that you're in. I want you to breathe in through your nose as deep as you can. If you have any breathing problems, do not try to go further than what your lungs can take, okay? So you're going to breathe in through your nose. Take it to your chest and hold. 2, 1. And release through your mouth. Going to do it again. Breathe in through your nose. In through your chest and hold. 2, 1. We'll do it one more time. Breathe in through your nose. To your chest. 1, 3, 2, 1. Should feel a little lighter. You can go ahead and I want you to just imagine this bright light from above coming down into your crown or the top of your head. Whether you know chakras or not, it's okay. You're going to imagine this white light coming down to your crown chakra, connecting to your crown, going down to your third eye, going down to your throat chakra, going down to your heart chakra, and then down to your solar plexus chakra. And you're going to have it go down to your sacral, down to your root chakra. And keep going down, down, around your legs, down, down like vines, like ropes, down into Mother Earth. And that energy is going through you, but connecting to Mother Gaia, to this plane. I'm going to make it go all the way down in every single layer, every crust, every soil, through the crystals, down, 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 all the way down to the center of the earth, Mother Gaia. I want you to connect with her energy like an anchor, anchoring us down, anchoring us in. I want her loving energy to come up through that anchor, through that chain, through that rope, through that vine, up through each and every one of our energy points, that root chakra at the base of the spine, the sacral chakra, which is your pelvis area, your solar plexus was right above your navel, up to your heart chakra, which is the heart, the center, up to your throat chakra, up to your third eye, which is in the center of your eyes, and to the crown chakra, which is on top of your head, connecting up into that source energy, God energy, Allah energy, to your creator that you believe in, and allow that energy to keep flowing like the infinity symbol through you, down, anchoring in, back on up to source. We're going to breathe in, hold on the chest. 3, 2, 1. And we're going to allow that energy just to flow back down to Mother Gaia and then flow up through us and into source. And you can start to open your eyes, wiggle your toes, and we are back. Now that's just a quick grounding kind of technique to get you back in the physical plane. Sometimes we're too much into what we want to do, the future, the past, you know, everything that we need to do. So we kind of drive ourselves crazy sometimes. So that is one of the ways to bring me back. Okay. All right, we're going to get into understanding blocks and how to spot them. Biggest thing is how to spot a block, right? We're going to talk a little bit about physical blocks. So this is, you know, of course we go through aging, right? We have our natural aging process. There will be some natural aches and pains with that process. But normally it's when you have the aches and pains in places that you have not been hurt or hindered in. You're not really at the age to where you should be feeling major pains and aches, okay? That's your body speaking to you, telling you that you have trauma trapped somewhere in your body. And depending on where it is, of course, it'll kind of tell you a little bit more, especially if you get into metaphysical stuff. And we're not going to go all into that right now. We'll probably touch that at a later time in a different series. But at least you know that aches and pains are some of the kind of like examples. Like I used to have this knee pain. And I think I was in my like 20s when I had this knee pain, but I had never hit my knee, never injured my knee, never fell on my knee. And I was like, why do I always have this knee pain? Finally got a knee x-ray after years, and there was nothing back on the x-ray. Knee looked fine. So it was just like, what the hell is that? You know, why am I having this pain in my knee? So there's things like that where you have aches and pains in places, and not necessarily does anything come back on the test. And that's your body speaking to you loud and clear, like, hey, something's manifesting through me. There's something that we need to look at, okay? Extreme exhaustion. And I'm not talking about when you've been up 24 hours, you know, you've had a rough week. I mean, like you really haven't done anything to be exhausted, but you feel like you ran a marathon. That's your body saying, hey, we're on overload in our energy. We got too much on us that we cannot keep going. We cannot run, or we've overly extended ourselves out to the point of we have nothing left. You know, when we say fill our cup first, that's self-love, self-care. And when we overextend, we can exhaust ourselves because there's nothing to replenish with. So check for that. If you don't have any real reasons to be exhausted, you don't have any real reasons to be tired, you want to look at that, okay? Because of course, some signs of exhaustion or just not wanting to be awake is depression, going into depression, which is a very different thing. But it starts with feeling tired, right? You start to feel like you're exhausted, and then you start to sleep, and then you're just sleeping. And so it's definitely not a normal thing to just keep going in that state, not wanting to deal with reality. That's kind of getting to the point of escapism, which I think we'll touch at a later time as well. But irritability is another one. And when I say that, it means there's going to be things that piss you off. There's going to be things that irritate you. There's going to be things that make you mad. But when it's the simple things, like someone calling your phone, and like we all get scammers. We all get those scam likely phone calls, right? Getting pissed off and mad because you got one of those calls. Or, you know, like we talked about before, like someone having road rage and jumping in front of you. or you know, the person who's the teller that's having a bad day, their bad day has now become your bad day because you've taken it on. Now you're irritable instead of just maybe smiling at this person and giving them something to smile at. You've taken it on. So there's these little things that start to become bigger things for you. Maybe let's say children, like having children around and them asking too many questions and you snap because you're irritable because you got a lot going on that you have not dealt with. So now you're snapping on people around you, you're snapping on, in a way where we know you instantly kind of know when you're snapping. And even if you acknowledge it or you don't, you still know that you're doing it. At some point you kind of know, like, fuck, I'm in this mood, instead of saying, hey, I'm in this mood, you guys be aware. I can't control what I'm going through right now, just let me be. We kind of just keep going and snapping, right? Disease speaks very strongly on blocks, okay? Depending, of course, what it's located. And I'll tell you a couple things because, again, we won't go too much into the metaphysical part about it, but like when we're having liver issues, according to the metaphysical side of it, that, liver is what removes the toxins in our body. Just think of toxins, toxic vibrational energy of going through your liver, So there's ways to kind of start looking at how disease is affecting you. I tell people sometimes on when people talk about diabetes, well, in metaphysical, especially metaphysical healing, they talk about diabetes being a lack of sweetness in your life. And normally when you talk to most people, they're not, they don't self-love. They actually don't take care of themselves. So there's diseases that are going to speak to you very strongly, and there's like a list of stuff, but your body, it's a manifestation from within. Everything is energetic. Everything that hits us is energy. So are our traumas. Our traumas are hitting us on that level. They will start to manifest physically and you will feel it. And that's letting you know, I have some blocks here. Because if you're normally healthy, or you should be, right, according to your age, because again, our body and organs do age with us. But if you're relatively healthy, you shouldn't have major shit going on with you. And if you do, you kind of have to start looking at it. Why? That's the physical block showing you that your trauma, your hurt, your pain is somewhere inside manifesting through the physical, okay? Lack of creativity, not wanting to do stuff. If you know you're someone who used to like to do things, especially with painting, drawing, writing, whether it's baking, creating, sewing, whatever it is that you do, not being able to get back into that space and doing it, not wanting to do it, that's also a part of those physical blocks, okay? When we look at emotional blocks, sometimes it does hit us a little bit different, but emotional blocks can hit you or start to hit you physically also, okay? So this is not like, it's not interchangeable. It actually is. Emotional can start to affect on a physical level as well as a mental level. Just depends on what the situation is, right? But emotional blocks we're going to look at is like outburst, emotionally having an outburst, crying at times that doesn't make sense with the emotions that we're feeling, right? No emotions at all when we should have emotions, right? The lack of that empathy, the lack of that kind of like being sad or feeling that in the moment. Lack of compassion to a situation. You ever know when you get so hurt in a situation and you're like, oh, well, that's on them. They shouldn't have did that. To a certain extent, we can say that, but the whole point when you're healing is you get to a part where even when you know someone is fucked up, you can still have that compassion towards them, like, damn, all right, you did something, you fucked up, how can I assist? Now, if it was towards you, that's a little bit different because that's a whole nother kind of, situation. But in the grander scheme of things, just having a lack of compassion towards others. I'll give you an example. Like before I really got healed or did the healing for losing my first daughter, I would be so angry at any mother that I saw that their child was dirty, that their diaper wasn't changed, or they looked better than their children did, I would get so pissed off and mad. I would lack compassion in that situation. If a person had an abortion, you know what I mean? I lacked compassion to understand what they were going through because I lost my child. So to me, I felt like, the child's a blessing, and I just had this judgment and that lack of empathy towards a lot of people. And it wasn't until, of course, going through the healing and healing that hurt and pain that now I'm at this point where despite what someone chooses to do has nothing to do with me. Everyone's life is their own, so there is no judgment, there is no hate, there's nothing towards someone in their own position. So you start to understand where you have been hurt. You start to understand where it's really affected you in the ways that it's affected you. Okay. Drinking. No one is drinking to the point of oblivion, just to be drinking. There's a difference between social drink here or there and drinking to the point of being drunk, blacking out, okay? Overeating, no one's just overeating because they feel like overeating. There's an emotional eater, and it's mostly emotions. Drinking normally is to cover up emotions so you don't feel emotions. But what a lot of people who drink don't realize is that they end up being emotional anyway and crying at some point. They end up crying. It's an escapism, but it doesn't fucking work, right? Impulsive decision making is another one where you're impulsively, if you've been I was an impulsive shopper. I would just fucking buy hundreds of dollars of shit. And then I would be like, what did I do? Like, what the fuck did I just do? And so you start realizing that some of your actions are based on emotions, what you're feeling in this moment. And if you have trauma and if you have hurt and pain that you're covering up because you haven't dealt with it, it is going to come out in some way, shape, or form in your life. You ever see like people who are hoarders? It's the same thing. You're hoarding, you're stocking up, you're buying, you're purchasing for what? There is an emotional or traumatic bond with that stuff that you're doing, So it's just kind of looking at it and check in. Whenever you're feeling something, check in and see, why am I feeling this right now? What is it? Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't really matter. It's why am I feeling this and where is it coming from? There's going to be something that is connected to it. Get away from saying, I don't know why I'm emotional right now, because you always know why. It's just a point of checking in with yourself and asking the question to get the answer. So if you sat back in the moment when you're feeling emotional and you close your eyes, you take a deep breath and you ask yourself, why am I emotional? You're going to get an answer. The point is believing what you hear and trusting what you hear. It's very simple to start checking in with yourself, your body, your emotions, your higher self. You just have to be able to open up the communication between you and the layers of self, which is your body and your higher self and your emotions. It all ties in together, okay? When we're talking about mental blocks, and again, all of these things can tie in together, okay? But when we're talking about mental blocks, it's the foggy brain. Can't think, can't concentrate, lack of enthusiasm, where, oh, I'm gonna read that book, but you never read that book, okay? Oh, I'm gonna go work out, but you never work out. Oh, I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna make a list. I'm gonna clean this. I'm gonna clean that closet that I've been meaning to clean, but you're not doing it, okay? When we worry, constantly worry, that is a sign. Worrying comes from something that has happened in the past. There's a reason why you're worrying, but when you over worry, it's not that worry is a bad thing and you never should worry, because sometimes it calls for it. But when you overly do it to the point of stress, to the point of anxiety, to the point of where you can't eat, you can't sleep, or you're eating because you're anxious, or you're eating because you're worrying, or, that's the times where you have to take that stop and say, okay, why is my mind going to this place? Maybe I need to look into some meditation or calming music, classical music, or piano, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be meditation if you're not someone who meditates. It could just be soothing music to kind of get that brain to kind of calm and release, okay? When you're feeling uninspired, and we kind of talked about this with the emotional blocks, that uninspired, not wanting to do anything, not feeling like you got anything in you, just kind of being stuck. You're just stuck, that, you get into whatever bad habits. Overstimulation is a thing too, because we can actually put too much on our plate so that we don't have to deal with what we're going through. So social media, of course, there's a difference between checking in, doing what you do on social media. There's a difference when you have spent like 8 hours on social media at one time, and it's not for any particular purpose, just strolling and scrolling and scrolling, right? So there's a stimulation overload that comes with mental blocks, because when we start realizing that it's so much better to get out and enjoy life, whether that is going outside, putting our foot in the grass, spending time with our family, reading that good book that we said we were going to read, write that chapter that we said we were going to write, whatever it is that we wanted to do, doing those things instead of just sitting in a place that brings more mental stress, more blocks, more anxiety, okay? Over exercising is a thing, okay? I don't know anyone who does it, but I have been a person who would overdo it, especially in my younger years. I would like be going crazy, exercising, because again, you're pushing yourself to these limits because you don't want to think, you don't want to be in your head, you don't want to be in your mind. So you're pushing yourself into some of these limits that aren't always healthy. Exercise, yes, is great with a balance. Everything is great with a balance. Anytime you're overdoing anything, that's where you come into the problems. So once you start to look at your daily, if you look at your 24 hours in a 24-hour span, document everything you do. How much time do you waste on this? And I don't want to call it wasting, right? But how much time do you get in the brain fog, right? How much time are you unable to concentrate on one thing and you're all over the place? How many times do you just feel not like doing shit? That tells you that there's things that are below the surface that you need to deal with, okay? We have our day-to-day stressors, we have our life stressors, and then we also have our traumas that create blocks. And sometimes, again, we'll go back to, I don't know why I feel like this. You do. You just got to ask your higher self. You just got to ask your body. You just have to ask that mind that's connected to the higher body, okay? When we come into the trauma blocking behaviors, right? It may seem like some of this stuff is calming and relaxing, numbing, right? But it's only temporary. It's never for a long term, because we're not actually dealing with the trauma, right? We're just satisfying, or at least taking our mind from it right now, but we're not really dealing with it. So when you look at what's coming up for you, right? Are you getting the trauma flashbacks, the nightmares, panic attacks, intrusive thoughts, feeling depressed, feeling down? Are you going through moments where you're projecting, or you're allowing someone else's situation or something they said to project on you? There's a difference when someone is saying something towards you, and then there's a difference between when you assume or take it and make it yours, right? So do you find yourself doing that? Is everything that somebody says is against you or towards you? Okay. So that's kind of another thing to start processing. Again, most of the things that we're doing with trauma blocking is just really short-term fixes. It's short-term things to kind of, I would say, to break our concentration, or at least take us away from it, but it's not healing and dealing with it. A lot of people don't want to heal, of course, because you kind of have to go back to a place that hurt a lot, right? You kind of have to go back to a place that didn't feel good. You got to go back to those moments of where it was created. Again, that's where you find healers and facilitators that you connect with that that really can speak to you on some level that you trust to work with them so that you can start to pinpoint, what do I need to work now? What's coming up? Because a lot of this stuff we kind of know, right? If you're getting flashbacks, nightmares, panic attacks, you kind of know where it's coming from, and not really the panic attacks, because that might not be, and maybe not the nightmares, because dreams are kind of tricky unless you kind of are able to maneuver and have someone kind of do a dream interpretation with you, right? But flashbacks, you know where the flashbacks are coming back if you're actually having those. So intrusive thoughts, take a look at how much negative thoughts come into your life in a day. In a 24-hour span, and I challenge you guys to do this, 24 hours, to pick one day in 24 hours, write down how many times a negative thought comes into your mind. How many times do you have a negative thought, no matter what it's about? Whether you're calling yourself a name, whether you're saying something negative about somebody else, anytime, and see how much energy is going to that, okay? That's the only way that you're really going to get aware of what you're doing and what your mind is doing, what your body is doing. If you start to, even if you did that where you took a day and just say, how many times do I feel like an ache or a pain? And where is it coming from? You know, or emotionally, how many times a day do I feel my emotions? Or maybe how many times I don't feel my emotions. Maybe I went through a whole day and didn't feel any fucking empathy or compassion for anybody. That also is going to be some things to kind of look at. So the awareness to all of this is start to become aware of yourself and what you bring or what you do. And when you can do that, everything that happens throughout your day, you can become aware of how you move, what you say, what you think, and what you feel, okay? So I know some of you kind of came in a little late. So from what you've heard, and I probably can go back because we still got a little bit of time. I probably can go back real quick. But from what you heard, try to think of 3 blocks that you have. I want you to think of 3 major blocks, whether they be physical, mental, or emotional that you're dealing with right now. And if you can't think of any, I'll go back real quick so you can see the what the other ones look like. I'm gonna go back real quick so you guys. So just this is some of the physical blocks. I won't stay too long on it. This is some of the emotional ones. And all I want you to do is pick 3. Pick 3 of your top that you're struggling with, okay? Not 3 from each, just 3 altogether. And then these are mental. All right. Now hold on to your list for a minute, okay? When we get into confronting our blocks, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to fight with yourself, Okay. It doesn't mean that now you're gonna like take yourself on. Okay. Doesn't mean you're not gonna get angry with yourself because oh I keep fucking drinking, or I keep doing this or I keep doing that. This is not what confrontation with self means. Okay. It's not confronting blocks. It's not what we're doing. We're confronting the problem. We're addressing it, right? But we're not putting anger, or more hurt, or more pain, or more judgment on to whatever it is that we're working through. I need to make sure that that is clear, okay? Again, awareness to what's going on is key. That is one of the biggest steps through all of this. Taking accountability is part of that confrontation. Because once you get to the point where you're like, you know what? I have to be accountable in this, whatever this is. So let's say if drinking is the issue, right? Well, now you know it's an issue. What are you going to do about it? But taking that accountability is now, okay, what am I really drinking for? What is the purpose of this? Well, it's going to go into some type of escapism. Well, what am I escaping? Okay, what comes out, that's what we need to go to, right? If it is like a lack of clarity, let's say you're getting a mental fog, like you just really can't think, mind's all over the place. Same thing, you know that you can't think, your mind is all over the place, right? So now it's like, okay, let me ask myself, why am I so everywhere? Again, we're checking in with self. We're coming back to self and we're asking this question. And what comes out of that is going to be what our higher self tells us. So it's like, okay, and sometimes it is some shit that we're doing. It's not other people, it's us. So you've got to kind of be accountable for the stuff that you do. Of course, outside influences we have no control over. If it's something about forgiveness, right? As we talked about in the last class, always start with yourself in forgiveness and then work to forgive others. Again, I know that it is hard in some instances where some people have done some very harsh things to you guys, okay? I do get that, and you don't have to do it until you're ready. But I will tell you that regardless to if you feel like that person deserves your forgiveness, should you never forgive them, you will hold on to the hurt and the pain of that situation. And it will manifest somewhere in your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul, okay? So with that awareness, then you have to be accountable for whatever comes next if you decide that you cannot forgive a particular situation or a particular something that has happened to you, okay? People are shitty. They do fucked up things. But again, we're not the creator, right? So we don't get the last say so of what someone deserves. We have to go back to that space of remembering that if the creator can love us all and forgive us all, then why can't we? And so I know that's a very hard place to be. And I'm not telling you it's going to be something that you'll do overnight. Okay. That's something that you'll have to work with. Throughout this, however long your healing journey is, and let me tell you, some journeys are years, because depending on how many years of shit that you've been through, right? There's levels to this. So show yourself compassion through the whole journey. Don't get angry with yourself because you're feeling the same thing again. Don't get angry with yourself. It's like, oh, well, I know I'm aware. I took accountability. I thought I forgave, and now I'm still mad at myself. Okay, be patient with yourself. Remember, there's versions of you that you haven't dealt with yet. So there's versions of you that are pissed off and mad at certain things. Okay, so have that compassion to yourself and understand that there's levels. There are levels to every situation that we've been through. I think I was talking about this to someone the other day, but it's never gonna just be over until you get to the last level, right? And your higher self is never gonna pull all of your healing at once because you would not be able to handle it. It would be too much for you to deal with. So be patient with yourself, okay? When you're confronting these things, whether you've created it, whether somebody else created the trauma or the hurt, the pain, of course, you're triggering yourself by dealing with it, right? You're triggering yourself by opening up the door. And a lot of times it's like, well, I should have never fucking did that. I should have never, opened that up. But again, your higher self is always going to guide you to what you can handle. So remember that. Your higher self, which is the part of you, is never going to put you in a space of healing that you cannot or you're not ready for. So remember that, okay? You will trigger yourself during this path, especially looking at your own blocks, because even though you might not have created the trauma or the hurt, you're adding to it, you're helping it, and you're keeping it. Okay, so you're actually doing more harm to yourself than working through it, if that makes sense. Okay. Always come back to a place of love. If you notice, everything I do is coming back into the heart space, coming back into that place of love to self, and show yourself that love. Say, I love you, like we did the Ho'oponopono prayer. Come back to that place where you're saying, I love you, where you're saying that you forgive yourself. Always come back to that heart space. You do not want to stay in any anger. So when you're confronting yourself, it's not on an angry, you want to fight with yourself, okay? No matter how much yourself may be looking at you crazy. You want to do it with love and compassion and patience. When we're looking at taking action with compassion, okay? So of course, and I'm saying this in a very generic kind of term because there's so many different things that can have happened, right? Between rape, molestation, car accident, someone going to jail, I mean, moving too many times. We've kind of talked about all of the different traumas before. So whatever the issue is, it's something that's been avoided up until this point. We've avoided dealing with it. We've avoided talking about it. We've kind of gone around it, but we haven't dealt with it in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes we think we have, right? But it was kind of a superficial level, or maybe it was the first level of that healing. And now a year later, it's back. Well, a year later, it's back because you're on a different level of healing. So don't take it as, what did I do wrong? Like you did something wrong in this healing path, because there's going to be things that you're going to keep revisiting, and it's different levels of it that you have to look at. When I looked at the passing of my daughter, it wasn't just that she passed. There's so many other things that were connected to the passing when she passed that happened and afterwards. So I literally have been doing levels of it, okay? And I'm still not 100% there yet. So remember, there's going to be things that we have to come back to, and it's okay. Temporary relief is not a bad thing, okay? You're going to feel healed. You're going to feel better after you cry. You're going to feel like, oh man, this is great. But no, yes, temporary. A lot of this stuff is temporary because depending on how severe it is with your energy, depending on how it affected you, how many ages it affected you, it might only be a temporary fix. And then you go back into feeling the depression is coming back. Oh, my emotions are coming back. I'm in this situation and this has triggered me. Now I'm feeling sad again. Remember, it's a part of it. There are going to be phases of temporary happiness, okay? But as long as you're aware of it and you understand it, have a facilitator that you're able to connect with. So you can say, hey, I'm feeling like this, because integration, if you talk to anyone who does healing and they tell you about the integration process, sometimes it takes months and years before you're truly through the trauma or whatever it is that you've been through, okay? When you have your self-talk, okay, to really look at what's going on. It's not always everybody else is the problem, right? We know that we're a part of it also. So be honest with yourself in everything that you're doing, but do it with love, okay? Don't be so hard on yourself where you're calling yourself stupid. I'm so fucking stupid. I'm so this, because you're just adding to it. You're adding to that, the childhood trauma. You're adding to the problems that you had. So make sure that you're not adding on to what you're doing, but being honest and compassionate with self. You don't have to be 100% healed, okay, to have a better life. You know, I always look at what I looked like a year ago or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I looked stressed out a couple years ago and tired and beat down and run down. I probably look way older than what I look now, but the more you do it, the better you look, because you're not holding that stress. You're not holding that trauma. You're not holding the anger in, okay? So remember, you don't have to be 100% healed. Give that up. I want you guys to just throw that shit in the trash if you think you're going to be healed tomorrow, okay? Just take it, ball it up, throw that shit in the trash. You will not be healed tomorrow. It's not going to happen overnight. So you're going to have to be patient with yourself. Um, and don't rush the process. I have seen so many people rush the process and basically crash and burn because they're trying to open up too many doors of healing that you cannot take, right? Thinking we can take it. So just slowly go through the process, give yourself breaks, give yourself happy moments, give yourself a break off of healing. We don't need to be healing every day, all day. Come into a space of awareness and say, okay, this is something I know I'm going to work on, and then designate that time and energy to working on it. Okay. Be patient, but also be persistent, knowing that you can do it, knowing that it is up to you and it's nobody else's responsibility. Okay. We can no longer be at the point of, well, they did this to me and I'm a product of what they did to me. Okay. This is where you take on that accountability and say, regardless to what has happened, it's my duty to become a better person for myself. Fuck everybody else right now. You want to become a better person for yourself. Okay. Healing is a lot of work, you guys. And I'll keep saying being patient with yourself is going to be a million times, okay? Because it really is going to require you to not be angry at yourself and others when you're talking about things, when you're going through things, when you're hashing up old shit, not to be angry at the people who have done you wrong either, okay? It's really coming to this place of either you understand that that person did the very best they could in that fucking moment, even when they hurt you, right? Because hurt people. And you just kind of get to that understanding, not saying it's okay, not giving them the switch to say that it's okay, but you're acknowledging like maybe that's the best that they could fucking do and leave it be. But keep going. There's going to be moments that are very difficult depending on your situations, right? Depending on how deep it goes, molestation and things like that, family members. It's kind of hard when family still are dealing with the family molester and shit. And, like things like that come up. And if you're still dealing with the family and have to go around somebody, I would say you have to start making some choices of what family members you still want to deal with if that is an issue. Because I've heard that from a lot of people in different kind of circles of like the family molester still being around and people still being okay with it. So you have to just remember that there's certain people that you're going to want to take out of your life and leave them out of your life. And maybe you don't go to the family dinner anymore because the family molester is there. Maybe you choose not to put yourself in that situation to have to get triggered by seeing this person anymore. You're going to have to make those choices for yourself. And again, if you choose to be in that situation, what are you doing to self? You're not acknowledging yourself. You're not being there for yourself. You're putting yourself in a situation, again, to be triggered and to be, around this person. So anything that you're going through now, you're going to start to make these decisions for you. Everything that you do and choose now has to be out of a loving, healing place, right? So now you have to be careful. What are you putting yourself in? Where are you taking yourself? Who's around you? Who are you allowing to be around you? And who you allow into that space and into your heart? This is where you get very protective of yourself. Okay. So, having somebody in your corner to assist is great. Having support is even better because you have people to talk to, someone to reach out to when you're feeling like you're losing your fucking mind. A lot of times we can't talk to our family because they think they know it all. They think they know our whole life story. It's very hard to get our family to fucking hear us, right? They're just saying blah, 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 and they got something to say. So sometimes having that other party that knows nothing about your life or your family to talk to, and having that type of person around is even better because they're not bringing in what they think they know of your life. Okay, so just remember you're choosing better for yourself, and you're making your happiness. You're creating your happiness by choosing better for you. Remember, you're the adult now, so you're now in charge of creating the happy life for you. No one can take that from you unless you allow them. So you got to remember you have power. But if you allow people to take that power from you, well, then that's a choice and you have to be accountable for that, right? So this one is a pretty short one, you guys, but any questions? Oh, wait, let me go back to the 3 blocks. That's what I wanted to discuss. Who wrote down any blocks that they came up with. Anybody got some blocks?
Yeah, Louise here. I have physical blocks. I have lack of movement. Um, um, Mental blocks. Thought of abuse. I'm a recovering addict
Okay.
and alcoholic. 6 years, August 30th.
Woohoo!
Yoo-hoo! And emotional, I'd like to say probably who's my dad.
Okay. So like I said, there's probably a lot. Narrow down to I mean, not to say you can't work on everything, but what I will say is don't put too much on your plate to heal at one time. Okay. So if you have a shitload of stuff that you got to heal from years of trauma and stuff, don't put too much on. Let's focus. What are your main stuff that's hitting you, right? Because you're doing good right now of not going back to your alcohol. So that means every day you're choosing to be sober. You're choosing to be present, even though you're still dealing with trauma, even though you still got hurt and pain. And I fucking commend you for that, right? So you're choosing to be sober, even though you still got shit that you got to work. That's a big thing. That's huge. Okay. Um, you're not escaping, which is beautiful. So, what is it exactly that you're striving for right now to work on?
I would probably say I need to work through the physical abuse.
Okay, okay. Um, when we go through the physical abuse, if you just are, and I don't want you to go to it like imagine it because that's going to take you to a place, right? But if you just think about it for a second, when you ask yourself, what is the worst thing that keeps me stuck with? I was a physically abused. What's the worst thing that keeps me stuck with this situation? What do you hear?
Probably I was a bad kid.
Okay, so let's go with that.
And also, I was ADHD, which wasn't diagnosed until I was 21.
Right,
And so, of course, at that time, my parents did not know how to handle me.
right,
And so that's what happened there. They lashed out at me every time I did something wrong.
right, right. But you do know now that you weren't actually doing anything wrong.
You know what? I have forgiven them and I have forgiven myself.
Yeah.
Um, but just new things coming up, you know?
So what
And
about
I,
it? So let's go
sorry,
back there because I want you to stay on this because there's something about it that keeps you there. If you have forgiven them and you have forgiven yourself, then what is still keeping you attached to this abuse from back then?
okay, my dad just died a year ago.
Okay,
The one that raised me. I
okay,
don't know my bio dad.
okay, okay. So that's brought
So,
up.
yeah. And that has resurfaced a lot of feelings. I go to the cemetery very often.
Okay,
I am talking. I've been away from my family. I have a sister and two brothers whom I haven't spoke to in 4 years. My sister and I now have a relationship for the last year since my dad died. So anyway, and we're looking at a sort of family reunion between the siblings.
okay. Well, I hear progress though. That's a lot of progress.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
You know, I will tell you when my dad died also, even though my dad lived a life where I very well thought he was going to be dead every day, right? And kind of planned that any day I would get that call. But when he died, it actually brought up a lot of shit that was unsettled, unhealed. And it hit me a certain way that I didn't expect. It hit me quite the opposite of what I thought it would. So I do understand that. A lot of times we get people in our life that are supposed to be there. I don't know if your stepfather, the man who raised you, I don't know if that was someone who also you feel like abused you when you were a kid.
That's the one.
Okay. Um,
And then
yeah,
pardon me, I should probably say that due to that happening to me for many years, I chose my next two long-term relationships that were that way too.
they were abusive. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, because you were kind of blaming yourself for some stuff. There's a lot, especially like my generation going back to your generation, there was a lot that they didn't understand. I
Nope.
definitely was a kid too, where they would have said I was ADHD, but there wasn't anything that my parents didn't take us to the doctor one, so no one was gonna label us anything. We didn't go see the doctor. But if we had, they would have, right? And so my mom didn't know how to deal with that. She did not. She thought I was slow. She really thought I was like slow, retarded to be exact. But but I actually am very fucking brilliant. Unfortunately, our parents didn't have the guidance nor the tools, right? And so I'm glad
Oh,
you
they only did what they knew how to do.
Right, 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 right. So I'm glad that I feel like you actually need to visit the child though from that time. You know how we did the healing meditation where it had you go back and see what person or version of yourself comes out?
Yep.
Keep
Yep.
doing those. Keep listening to that. I feel like you need
Okay.
to go with the versions of yourself that actually were abused. They need love. Because if you have really forgiven them, right, and you forgave yourself, the only
Yes.
thing that's attached to those moments is the energetic part of you that was abused. That's the child version. Okay.
Yes.
So now you're going to be the one that goes back and you're going to give that love and that emotion and you're going to let them know how awesome you fucking are today, and you're going to go through the process. So keep listening to that one, and keep revisiting the younger versions. You'll be surprised at what they need. I feel like that is more of what's still coming up for you as far as that.
Okay, I'm sorry. What is the thing you said I should listen to?
Remember we did it, was it last session? Last class, right?
Okay, class three. Yep.
Class three. So we did
Yeah.
two meditations in there. We did one where I walked you
Right.
through.
Right.
That's the one I want you can listen to the Ho'oponopono one, but that's a different one. So go through the one where I walk you through the guided meditation in that class and
Great.
just redo the process
Great stuff. I'll do that.
and keep doing it. There's
Yes.
no end to that. I still do that shit. I still do it for me. And then sometimes I'm surprised at the version that comes out like, oh, okay, you needed me today. All right.
Yeah, yeah. And too, my mom passed away 31 and a half years ago, so she's been gone for a very long time.
Right.
And so it was like that was all done, and then my dad passed away,
Mhm.
and we didn't they the family didn't even have a service, an obituary, nothing, right? So there
Mhm.
was no closure, finality there for me.
Right.
So that's why I think I visit the cemetery so often,
Right.
and I believe that that's where I find peace. And I always, always, always talk
Right.
to them and say a prayer when I leave.
Right. In the same meditation that we did where I say call a version of yourself, you actually can call them into that space and have a conversation with them too.
Yep, yep,
Okay. I think
yep.
it'll
That's
be very,
great.
yeah, I think it'll be awesome if you did that.
Uh,
Um,
I will. I'll try that. I'll go back to class three. Thank you so much.
you're so welcome. Anybody else got some blocks that they found?
Okay, so I'm here and I don't know why, but I'm just like so full of emotions. But as y'all, know that I've been going through a lot of stuff and I wrote down questions that I have, and it's whenever you had said that when will you be ready to forgive? That's a question that I have because for people that don't know, but I'm currently going through an issue where my son he's 12, decided last minute that he wanted to go to school with his dad. We were co-parenting great, didn't have any issues. Well, they kind of through the whole blind side, taking me to court, calling me an unfit parent. And then I was side blinded with the whole, well, now I have custody of him. I was never served those court papers, but three of the mental blocks that I feel I put four, but the intrusive thoughts, and then the irritability, uninspired, overthinking, and lack of trust. My thing is lack of trust mostly, I feel, because of the betrayal. And I guess the betrayal hurts me so bad because it wasn't just my son who was like my ride or die since he was born. I had him 32 weeks with the lies that he made, but also the fact that the hurt that my family agreed to help the dad who was never there at all ever. So I don't know, there's just a lot. Like me, I'm a writer, so I have already 2 pages in less than 10 minutes of talking to you. But those are my blocks that I have: the irritability, the uninspired overthinking, and lack of trust. But the questions that I did have is like when will I ever be ready to forgive? Because I know that it's still so fresh. But it's like I know that that's something that a lot of people ask, like, well, when will I be ready? It's like, when will I take the steps? Like, I don't even honestly, I don't ever think that I will be able to forgive my son's dad, because I was trying to be so cordial,
Right.
and trying to, like, do what was best for my son because I was going to make him happy in the moment. And
Right.
then just to be the betrayal, and then even more my family. So I guess I just feel so alone. I mean, I know I have my tribe, you know what I'm saying? But with
Right.
the betrayal of my mom, my sister, it's like, when will I ever be ready to just be like, okay, I forgive you?
I feel like
And it's so hard because I have so much, I don't want to say anger, but it's more hurt than anything.
I feel like it goes deeper. That betrayal goes deeper.
It does.
It's
It
not just what
does.
happened, right? It's that
Hmm.
it happened. It's that
Yeah, I
this
mean,
is
I
what
was
they
abused
think.
as a child, by a stepdad of mine. I know she was, I don't remember her name. I think it was Rebecca or somebody.
Luis.
Luis was talking about her,
Yeah.
being abused. I was molested as a child, not once, not twice, but 3 times with 3 different people. My mom never believed me when I told her, so it's been a continuous, like,
Right.
non-repetitive. It's always something, something, something. So
Right.
I just, and I guess the physical blocks would just be like the aches and pains, like the exhaustion. I do work 12 hours a day on top of, running 2 businesses, doing the healing, being in the tribe. It's a lot, but I feel that I escape with the crafts, the healing, the group, that's my way of healing. I don't know. I just don't know when I'll ever will be ready to forgive. And like, why does the hurt randomly? Like, I was good before I hopped on here, and it's like, fuck, I'm in healing. Here we go. I just want to release. Like, I just want to just cry. I'm like, why? Like, what's wrong with you, Hope? Like, you're good. Why do you want to cry?
Well, you're not good.
Crazy.
You've put a bunch on your plate to stay okay.
Right.
You're just masking. It's like putting a fucking band-aid on a knife wound. Like that's not gonna work.
Right. It's just, and then the whole, not just my son and my family, but it's like relationship wise, I mean, I've just been through,
Right.
like, it's been repetitive, so it's like when someone goes through so much, when will you ever be ready? I feel like I've been healing for 5 years, and it's like, fuck, when is it ever going to end?
Well, you got a couple things, right? One, you have to start asking yourself, one, why are you still mad at the certain betrayal, right? Not saying you don't have a reason to be mad, because it's neither here nor there if you have a reason or not. It's
Right.
why am I still so mad at this situation?
I guess because I did so much for my son, and me and my son, like, he was my ride or die. I had
Okay,
him at
I'm gonna
seven,
stop you.
32 weeks. Go
I'm gonna
ahead.
stop you. You're saying
Okay.
because all the stuff that you did for him, that's a selfish.
Well, when I say did all the stuff for him, I didn't mean it like stuff. I meant like
No,
I was the only one there.
it
Like, no
doesn't
one was
matter.
ever there.
It doesn't matter. Us, even as parents, we can be selfish. And
What does she
remember,
say? I can't read the comments.
when you stop wondering, but healing is ongoing, never-ending process, right?
It is. It's never ending.
Remember, no matter what we do for somebody, right? Even our children, if you are doing it from your core heart place, you're not expecting shit back ever. So it will not hurt when someone doesn't reciprocate. It won't hurt. The only reason why it hurts because we naturally do shit and expect someone to do the same for ourselves to us. That's what we
Mhm.
have to break. We're not
Have that
doing,
loyalty, have that respect, and it wasn't there at all.
and it's not guaranteed to be there. You're broken because people have not shown you the same that you've given to other people. That's what you need to take away because that is not going to change. That's not going to change today. That's not going to change tomorrow when you meet a new person. You're going to meet someone and you're going to expect, I'm loyal, I'm this, I'm that. You need to be the same. Instead of facing it and be like, no, people are fucking horrible. So there's a 50-50 chance this person is not going to fucking give me what I'm giving. And you have to walk in every situation and be okay with that. You're not okay with that though. So even with our children, we expect that they're supposed to love us and this and appreciate all that we've done for them, right? And they're like, you're my parent. You're supposed to fucking do. They're entitled to shit, right? So it's the
Hmm.
same thing with everyone. Where you're breaking yourself down on that pretense of look at everything I've done for everybody else and they shit on me. Okay, they shit on you. Take away that you are you. Nobody is you. Nobody is supposed to show up like you. You're gonna find some people that are similar, right? But you got to take the expectation away of what people are supposed to do. Otherwise, guess what? The universe will keep proving you right. You
For
got to take that
sure.
out. So if you look at that and just take away that, like, damn, okay, I did this on the third. This is how I've been repaid, basically, right? When can you get past that?
That's where I'm stuck. It's like, like I know, of course, healing's never ending, and there's multiple ways you can
Mhm.
do it, but I myself haven't been able to find like in a way I forgive. I say in a way because in a way
Right,
I have
right,
forgived, because he's a kid and I do feel that there were other people and
right,
brainwashing was involved, but
right, right.
at the same time too, it's like that hurt is just so bad because I was just so fucking blindsided. Excuse my language, but it's just like I was never expecting that. Like
Right,
things were great, we were co-parenting and it's like, what? I don't have my kid no more? Like, what do you mean?
right. So you got to get deeper. There's something you're missing from this, okay? You're going to have to go in more because there's some what exactly from this of it's not the being blindsided. You've worked past that. You understand that. What about this, about your son, the way, whatever his choice was or whatever he chose to do, however he did it, there's a part in that that you're missing. That part is what you have to confront to
And I've
self.
asked him, but I guess when I ask him, he just says because it's just like I guess because he is 12, he doesn't. And I honestly feel it's the pressure from the dad and the stepmom. I
Right?
don't feel that he himself truly knows why he lied and why he made those false allegations that he did.
Right.
I
Is
just
it
can't wait for him to get older and for us. I do feel and I do see that he is going to come to me
right?
because he's going to need me. And, in that moment, like, yeah, that's my son. Like, you should always, be there for your kids. But it's like, fuck, dude, that pain you caused me, little boy, like you were my everything. Like, how?
Do you feel like you're too attached to your child? That's why it hurts so much.
Because I was real sick with him pregnant. And then I had him at 7 months and I almost lost him a few times. And he was a really sick baby. Like, it was always him and I. Like, I was, lost so many jobs because he was always in the hospital,
Mhm.
always having surgeries, so, and his dad was never there. So, me being the single mom, I did everything by myself, and it wasn't easy. So, I mean, there's a lot more that goes to it, but it's just like, I just don't understand.
I feel like there's a sense of you not getting your like kudos for everything you've done, right? And
I
you
don't
have
feel that it's the kudos. I
no,
don't think it's
and
that.
I don't mean to say it like that because I know it comes off shitty, okay? But this is what you kind of have to
Like
look
he
at
didn't
it,
realize it. Like,
right?
like, hey, it was me, my mom, like him and I, like he was my ride or die. Like everywhere I went, that little boy went. Whatever he
Right.
wanted, he got. Like he was my one. Like I
I
I
do
guess
feel,
because in a way he saved me, Ariana, at a time in my life
I
where
know,
I was at my lowest, and I
Yeah,
was thinking about, suicidal ideation, and then when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, Lord, you're blessing me, like, Spirit,
right,
you're blessing me. And if this is meant to be, I want my little boy with colored eyes. And I got my little boy with colored eyes. And neither one of our
right,
parents have colored eyes.
right.
So I don't know. There's just a lot. Like, I feel like I manifested him and he came to me. I don't know. I feel like he was my saving grace. And I guess with me not having him, I feel like I lost a piece of me.
Yeah, yeah. There's an attachment. So you have an attachment with him, which is normal. It's
It's a
normal, right?
cat. I mean, it's a
It's
cat. It's a
normal.
kid.
But we're
Yeah.
not supposed to be attached to anyone in that way because the loss hurts, right? You feel like you've lost him, which no, of course we don't own anybody, so we have to definitely work through that. Um, what I mean by like the kudos, I mean when we don't get the thank yous and you know what I mean, you did a great job and you're just being shit on from everyone. It's not just the son, it's everyone,
Mm,
right? That does take away like man, when you sit back, because the anger is coming from somewhere. I'm trying to get you to kind of look at that anger, right? Everything that you've done, no one is giving you props on everything you've been through, everything that you fucking, what have sacrificed, right? But at the end of the day, nobody has to give a fuck, is what I'm trying to say. As cold as that
mm,
might sound, right?
mm,
The only person who really does is you. And we expect, here we go back to expectations, right? We
mm,
expect that other people are going to give us those kudos and see what we've gone through. But again, it's not their job. It really
mm.
isn't. So there's some things that you got to go deeper into to acknowledge and accept. And that's where I'm trying to get you, not in a mean way. I don't want to say
Yeah.
it being and be mean, but you got to
No, I'm
push
not taking
past,
it as mean.
you know what I mean? You got to push deeper because you still have the expectation there. And that's what's causing the pain because no one, no one, not our mother, father, sister, brother, none of them have to give a shit of what we do. Okay. I used to have a similar, my baby daddy was never there, right? I was a single mom. Okay.
Mm,
That he never sent a dollar. Okay. It was never like that. So I had a lot of anger because I had to go through some shit to make sure this little girl was okay and that she had her own, right? And then I had to realize I got all this anger that I'm holding because this person wasn't a fucking father. It doesn't matter. I chose to be a mom. I chose. No one else chose. Not my mother, not my brother. So none of them could help me. None of them could be there. And I used to be mad at everyone, like, why can't I get help? Again, yes, we would love a community that helps us, right? We would love baby daddies
mm.
and all that to be involved. But again, as mothers, we choose to be moms. It's our choice. We have to accept that as lonely and as fucking horrible it is sometimes. And yes, I was in the single mom train of no help, barely any help for my people. But again, it wasn't their job to do so. So when we're looking at the sacrifices, again, we got to take it back to self because that's a choice that we made. And we didn't expect it because shit, I don't think anyone expects life to be the way it is, right?
For
And you just
sure.
like, oh shit, I did not expect single motherhood to be like this, right?
Mm-mm.
So then you still got to come back to self. There's some anger towards self that you need to deal with. You're still projecting some of it. And see, this is the healing when you start to come back and be like, oh shit, okay. So I
Thought I
gotta,
was healed from this, but I'm really not. So here we fucking go again. It's like shit. Ugh, backtracking.
I'm going to the comments. Sorry, I've been like,
Yeah, I don't know how to do it on my phone. I just saw them, but now I can't see them.
okay. Nellie said, when you stop wondering, but healing is an ongoing, never ending process, just like learning
Mm-hmm.
3 steps and phases. Yeah, like AG says, she reached the next level. And it's levels. You will be like, man, I thought I was done. We say this all the time. I thought I was done. I
Yes, I
thought I
thought I
was
was done,
done.
and here we go again.
And then it's like, fuck, here goes another level of this shit. But this is where the compassion and love comes into it and patience with self. Because the understanding and awareness is key. Until you get it, until you really get what's going on in the situation, you get stuck in it. You're stuck in it. No, but this is what happened. And no, but this person did this. And it's layers to it. And then you start like, unhooking shit. You're like, oh, fuck, damn. All right. Now I got to own this shit, you
I
know?
guess my main thing is like I've always had abandonment issues. Like that's a big, big thing for me. And I feel like the only thing that I had that was like, was my son, so I feel abandoned. I guess my fear now is like, well, fuck, everybody's gonna abandon me. So which leads into having relationship problems, which really, it's a continuous cycle. It's just, I just wish I'm a Virgo. I could just turn off my brain and just be like, stop
Right,
overthinking. That's a big problem that I have, is the overthinking.
right. But you just come back to, where is it coming from? Why am I overthinking? You have to keep checking in with you and asking yourself. You're not overthinking for no reason. It's unhealthy, right? So where is it coming from? The thing is to get honest with self. When you start getting honest with self, when you sit and ask yourself that question and whatever comes up, you're like, fuck, okay. All right, now I got to deal with this. Nelly was saying, using it, using you as an example, doing stuff for your son is trying to heal your inner child. I do agree with that too. Because what you happened and what you went through as a child, also no one being there for you, no one kind of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Always when we look back, we can look at and pinpoint to some of our childhood of why we're so angry about
Right.
something happening, right? Um, I like her point here where she says, when I do for my daughters, I try not seeing it for my daughters as what I have to do, but I wish someone would have done for me in hopes they'll do better for
Yes.
theirs because I'm not without flaws. I like that. I think as a single parent, especially in your situation, just like mine, that we're doing it on our own. We're afraid that our hard work won't be acknowledged. But I think in the end, it will be acknowledged in the peace that I know I did my part, I did my best, because it really won't come from anyone, not even our kids. It's
And
true.
that's where I'm at too. Like, I felt like I did what I could. He was in sports. As a single mom, it was hard, struggling, working two jobs, trying to have a kid in sports, trying to have him in school, it was hard. It's everything that a single mom does. But I just
Right.
felt like I did everything that I could to make him happy. And clearly that wasn't enough from what he told me.
And look, when I had to work through some shit with my daughter in her 20s, and this was in the beginning of my healing in like 2019. And we sat and she was telling me how she felt abandoned. And I was just, that shit crushed my fucking heart space because I was just like, how could you feel abandoned? I immediately got fucking pissed off. I immediately got
Defensive,
mad. I immediately got
yeah.
hurt. And then she was like, Mom, you work two jobs most of the time.
See, and that's what he would say. He told
And
me
it
that
was
I
like,
worked a lot.
oh shit. You know what I mean? It was like, okay. And then she was like, so I was alone. I didn't have any brothers and sisters. She really went through most of her life being a single child, right? So
Hmm.
I had to really sit back and I go, you know what? I can't take that from you because that's what you went through. You had to be an adult child. In first grade, she had to jump on the city bus, come to my job before I got off, wait for me to get off work. She'd play in the toy department. I worked at Marshall's and I worked at Walmart. And in between that time, she would jump on the fucking city bus. This little ass kid, I taught her how to do it, come to my job, play in there until I got off work. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
nobody was there to help us. It was just me and her. So I get when you say it was just you and him. That's how me and my daughter is. But there's a lot of things that my daughter will never fucking understand because she never went through it. My daughter was a teen mom, but she had me. She had a strong grandma who stepped up like, hey, you got me. We gonna handle this shit. Me, I had an alcoholic parents who weren't going to help me and assist me. And my brother had all of his other shit going on. So again, they'll never fucking understand. We're asking people to understand that have never been in our shoes. So that's where you have to kind of take that step back. There's some things that when me and my daughter were really doing the healing, I had to eat that shit up because I couldn't take that from her. That's her stuff. She has
That's how
that.
she
I
feels.
wasn't
Yeah.
there, even though she always had her own room, even though I made sure she had clothes and she had this and she wasn't hungry and
Hmm.
you know what I mean? She still has her hurt and pain. And I missed out so much of her life working two, three jobs at a time,
Hmm.
to make sure that I fucking paid those bills. So, and that is where you have to work on self love. and self-forgiveness, because your anger is coming from, man, if only my baby daddy would have been there, I wouldn't have had to fucking work these 3 jobs, right?
No, it's more like if I would have just went through with me having him sign his rights over or losing his rights for never being there, I wouldn't be in this situation. But I
Mhm.
never thought that it would come to this, and then bam, it was like, fuck, you should have done it when you knew and you didn't, you know?
it it's the shoulda coulda wouldas. At this point you gotta let it go, right? You gotta let it go. And no matter if your son, him feeling the way he feels, at some point you're gonna have to honor it, because that's his perception, regardless
Hmm.
to if you agree with it or not, right? Regardless to if you feel that that was his life or you know it was better, it doesn't matter. He saw it from his eyes, and that's his perception, as much as that hurts. That's another part of healing that you just work through. Yeah, because I feel like there's always parts of us where we want to change them. We want them to understand, right? We want them to understand how it felt. Plus, he's a boy; he's never gonna understand what you feel.
And I think too, his dad was never really there. So now that one opportunity that I gave, anytime his dad wanted to see him, I allowed it. I'm not one of those bitter baby mamas like, oh, you haven't been there in 5 years, you're not going to see your kid.
Right.
So I got really sick last year. I was in the hospital for about 14, 16 days, and he wanted to go visit his dad. Well, his dad has a new wife. You know, she has an older son who's 16. My son was an only child here, you
Mhm.
know, and he just felt that I guess the grass was greener on the other side. They're able to provide more than I can.
Right.
So right now he's living, you know, the life. Like, if he, of course, he had a cell phone, you know, he had the PlayStation, but I guess they're able to do more for him because I'm not the single mom. It's a, you know,
Right.
two-person relation marriage, you know, and they're able to do so much.
But
I've
even
tried talking to him, and I read the message right now on the bottom, the comment,
mm,
and I was very angry with him because he went to the extent to um, make false allegations to CPS. And when I
right,
did talk to him, I had told him, I said, you know what? I said, I will be ready to talk to you when you're ready to apologize to me for the lies that you made, because you know damn well those lies were lies,
right,
you
right.
know? So what
I
did she
think
say? You ask him
you
to
did the best you
forgive
could.
you.
I think at some point you guys will be able to have conversations about those things. You know what I mean? But I feel just try to work on what's the worst thing about him living with his dad.
There really isn't, and I guess that's why I'm just hurt at the fact that why did they have to go to that extreme? Like, if he
Right,
they it all happened while I was in the hospital. It's like, hey mom,
right,
you know, I've been here for 2 weeks. I would really like to try to, you know, start school. I made friends. Another thing too is that I'm a very strict mom because of all the shit that I went through as a child. So my son wasn't allowed to stay the night at nobody's house that I didn't know if it wasn't family related or
right,
anything like that. And now that he's with his dad lets him do whatever the fuck he wants. If he wants to go fishing with his friends, he's gone. My son's only 12, you know, and I'm like, oh, hell no, you ain't going fishing by yourself. What if you drown? What if somebody eats you? What if somebody takes you? You know, like, I
right,
was just
right,
that mom, the overprotective mom, because I had so much happen to me as a kid, you know,
right,
so I formed that extra protection, you know, barrier around him. And I guess I just held him back so much that he felt like he was free, you know,
right,
being with his dad. And I get it. I agreed. Like, I agreed to let him go to school over there for a year. You know, it was just like,
right,
I don't understand, like, why? Why did the lies have to come up? Why did the false allegations have to, like, there was no need for that. If he wanted to stay there, I would have truly let him. It hurt me. It hurt me when he said, hey, mom, I would like to stay with my dad. Like, well, shit, little boy, you're the only thing that I got. You know, I worked for you. You know, I live and breathe
right.
for you. But I guess I don't know. I know I have a lot of healing with that situation. That's going to be something
Yeah.
that's going to take me a while because I don't think at this point I'll ever be able to forgive his dad. I just want to run his ass over with the truck if he personally asked me. But
You look, there's layers I'm gonna just tell you this, there's layers to it. And you're gonna have to really look at the anger towards him comes from so many different angles.
yeah, never
Um,
being there, you know, and then all of a sudden being dad of
it's
the year. It's
yeah,
like, where the hell did you come from? You were never
right,
there, you
right.
know?
And again, that's neither here nor there. It really isn't. Like, I understand where you've been, right? And him to just be now, he's father of the year. That's an anger you're gonna have to work through. Because again, it's the child, that's his father. You know what I mean? Regardless, right?
I
So,
just remember the times too, my son would be crying to me, like, why doesn't my dad care about me? Like, why isn't my dad there? And I guess it's like, it's so much like the
mhm,
backflashing, the knowing of, having to see my son hurt. And I couldn't answer those questions because I'm not his dad,
right,
and then it's like one summer out of 6 years, he goes and it's like, oh my God, it's the rainbow over there. Mom, I don't want to leave. And
right.
I was okay with it. Like I enrolled him in the school. I let him, go to school for a year over there. And then all of a sudden I don't have custody of my kid. I guess it was just the betrayal. It literally just boils down to the
Right.
betrayal.
You're gonna see as you hit the layers, you'll see the rest that's down there.
Which you say, which is why partially why you're alone now. You could have done like his dad and made being finding someone priority. Yeah, for sure. I don't know who Nelly is, but she does have some great advice.
Yeah. A part of it is, of course, having to face being alone, right? And I don't think you were ready for that. And
Hell
then,
no, I wasn't ready for alone to be alone.
and
My
so
life
that's why I
revolved
say
around that little boy.
there's definitely layers to it all, and you just keep hitting each one until you can work on that because you're gonna see as you go through the levels, you'll just be like, fuck, and it's gonna take you to another place
Oh, Daniela.
of
I
your
see Nelly
emotions.
and she's saying it's Daniela.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. It's like I hear you, but it's deeper. It goes more in that, and I used to have the same anger against my baby daddy, but again, once you realize that it's a choice you made as a mom, right? Regardless to what the father decided to do, right?
Hmm.
My daughter has a semi relationship with her father now. I got nothing to do with it. It ain't here nor there with me. I don't care, I feel like you just have to keep going in it, and you're gonna have to. Part of it is because part of it, a big part of it is tied to what you had to go through as a single mom. Okay, and so you got
Hmm.
to work through that shit. That's a
For
lot.
sure.
That's a lot of
A
years.
lot. A
Okay.
lot.
Did anybody else? I know we're getting to 10 o'clock. Did anybody else get any blocks?
Can I just mention one thing? It's Louise here.
Uh-huh.
I heard something. I'm not going to take props for it. It's a quote of from Tyler Perry, as a matter of fact. And he quotes about saying that life is a lesson, and every ladder, that rung of the ladder that you climb, you learn that lesson, and then you maintain and climb and maintain and climb and maintain, and I that sticks with me always, always, ever since I heard him say it.
I love that. I love that.
I really do too.
You know, I you know me, whatever sayings, whatever positive shit you can write around your house, every affirmation, write it, do it. Like everything that we've talked about, healing is going to be a journey and it's going to be a process, and there's layers. And again, all you can do is give yourself compassion and patience and understand that it is going to be layers. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but really you will have to come to some harsh facts that always go inward, that always go to self at the end of the day, despite who did what, when, and where. Um, and we gotta, a lot of it goes to our expectation of the situation. And if you can get through that expectation of what you feel happened, should have happened, or could have happened, then you can start pinpointing the layers of the anger, the emotions. Okay. You guys find things, of course, to make yourself happy. Put some smiles on your faces. Also, if you need to cry, do some good crying. Also, did anybody else have any blocks? Rebecca, I know I saw yours that were like the foggy brain, um, unable to concentrate, lashing out. In times when everything I want you guys to start doing, this is like I'm saying, this technique I learned from Nicole. She's a theta healer. I'm hoping to get her in one of these series that I do. She's awesome. I want to get her in, but she's been in school. She's been so busy. But she taught me how to, when I keep asking you to ask yourself, when you're feeling something, ask yourself the question, What's the worst that could happen in this particular situation? What's the worst about the situation, right? Or you ask yourself, why am I angry right now? What's the first thing you hear? Always go with the first fucking thing you hear. Don't start confusing it and overthinking it or telling yourself, oh, it may be this. No, what's the first thing you fucking hear? Go with that. You're gonna see your higher self is gonna start to speak to you in a way that you've never really dealt with before because you've never listened. You've never fucking listened. You've been having all this other shit going on, so you've never listened. So start asking yourself, why do I feel? Ask yourself right there. Your lack of motivation. Ask yourself, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, why do I have a lack of motivation? What's the first thing you hear? What comes up? Your higher self is going to talk to you. Your higher self is going to tell you. You're like, oh shit, okay, this is what comes out. Now I need to, because I'd rather sleep. Ask yourself, why would you rather sleep? What's the first thing that comes up? And you basically can do this to infinity, okay? But you're going to get down to the truth of where it's coming from and where it's going. Your lack of motivation, you want to be asleep. Where do you think that comes from? Ask, what comes up? What do you hear? But that's the process to go through it and work through it with self. When you don't have somebody there, you don't have a facilitator there, you don't got me there in your ear. That's what you start to do. You ask yourself, what is this coming from? Most of the time it's because we don't want to know. We don't want to acknowledge it. So we start saying, I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know why my body's aching. I don't know why I'm tired. I don't know why I'm frustrated. But you do know. Less creative, lashing out, and no empathy. And the lashing out comes from an inner frustration. You have to pinpoint, where is that inner frustration coming? You're not lashing out on people just because you're a fucking bitch, okay? You're lashing out from an inner frustration. And so everything is too much in this moment, and now I'm just gonna go off on whoever the fuck is like next to me. Then ask yourself, where is that inner frustration coming from? If you ask yourself, what is something that comes up? You know, creativity comes from the sacral chakra, right? That is also where our passion, our emotions, guilt, trauma, resentment, trust issues, all of that lives in the same place. So when we have a lack of creativeness or that creative juices, it's because, you know, a lot of that stuff is swirling around in there. It's affecting us. So again, you guys, those of you who came in late, just make sure you go and watch this. I'll try to get it up sometime tonight. If not, it'll be tomorrow, to go back and just watch the beginning of it. And if you've missed the other classes, go back and watch those. Let me see. And that's exactly what I do. Yeah. But before you get to the points of lashing out, this is where you have to start asking yourself, even if you lash out and then just take a moment, breathe, and ask yourself, where did that come from? You're going to hear something, Rebecca. Your higher self is going to tell you something. Trust it, go with it, and be like, oh shit, let me work on this. Remember, in the beginning, you're not just going to stop being fucking irritated. You know, it's not going to be like instant. You're still going to be going through all of this stuff until you start working through a lot of this, right? But now you have this awareness like, oh shit, I just lashed out. Fuck, where did that come from? What are you hearing? Okay. And then if you're implementing the other things, facing some of the traumas and things like that, going through different, the things that we're showing you to do, journaling or whatever it is that you decide to do, right? Of course, this is going to get less and less, but until you really get down in there and start getting through some of the frustration, the shit because this shit has been built up. Remember, you got shit built up for fucking years. It just didn't happen yesterday. This is years of shit. So this is where that, you're confronting it, but at the same time, have that compassion and love for self, okay? Is there any questions so far on anything that we have been talking about or went through in this series? This is a 4-part series. The next series, you guys, will be in September. It will start September 8th, so I could give myself a break, 1 week break before we come back, and we'll be doing shadow work. We're going to be looking at shadow work, mental health, and ego. Okay, ego and identity. Identity theft. I was going to say identity theft, not identity theft. Identity death.
Can you repeat those one more time? You said shadow work, mental health, and what else?
We're going to be shadow work, mental health, ego, and identity death. Is what we're going to be covering in the next series. Okay. And I have a couple other facilitators, and one is a mental health professional. One is a shadow work integrational coach. You guys know I do shadow work as well. I do teach it. I have a class, and I do one-on-one shadow work sessions. But we're going to do, like, the basics of what shadow work, because shadow work is also ongoing. You guys have probably already been doing shadow work. Some of you don't even realize, because it's a part of healing. It really is. Once you start looking at it, you'll kind of be like, oh shit, I've been doing this shit. It's a part of your healing. And there's many different ways to kind of tackle shadow work. But we're also going to always incorporate love, compassion, patience, and understanding with self. If you can keep those in everything that you do, stop getting frustrated, because your frustration is also coming from the frustrated child, the frustrated teen, the frustrated younger version of yourself. Remember, so that's coming up. If you guys are in the group, I wanted to show you guys real quick, because this is also for you guys to know where to find stuff. Hold on. If you guys are in the group, okay. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see the screen? So there's a page. I know I got 20 million tabs open. No one with OCD like go crazy with all the tabs that I have. Like, oh my God, that's only a little bit. I normally have more than that open. So there's a page. The page is called Healing Beyond Humanity, right? We kind of transferred from the page into the group because I actually can have the guides. So just for anyone who doesn't know that, the group is where you want to be, which the group looks like this, the Healing Beyond Humanity group. So the tab, wherever you find the tab that says guides, that is where you want to go to access all the series. So all of the journals, there's so many different journals, self-love, gratitude, healing tips. They're all PDF files. So if you're going on your phone, I've had a lot of people kind of complain about that. If you go on your phone, you're going to be downloading the shit, but you're going to be like, where did it go? It's in your documents because it's a PDF, okay? So it's probably better to do it on your computer or laptop, of course, because of the access, but you can access this stuff. It's going to download, and you need to go into your documents to retrieve it. So there's some cool journals on it, and then the classes, each class is there, and it goes from class 1 to class 2. There's also a quiz at every guide. So I really would like you guys to make sure that you go in there and you do the quiz that's connected to the guides. Let me see, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So it'll be like a little quiz. It's not really like, pass or fail. It's a couple questions to make sure that you kind of understand what's going on.
It's just so tiny. My blind ass can't see, but I'll ask you about it later. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know how it works on the phone because I'm never on my phone.
I'll take a screenshot so you can see it. It's super
You can
tiny.
zoom in.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Okay, I learned something new. Thank you.
Welcome.
I was like, I don't know how it looks.
I'm blind, so I know how to do these things.
I'm never on my phone, you guys, when it comes to Facebook. Everything I do on Facebook is always on my computer, or I just don't fuck with it on my phone. I just don't. So everything I do is on there. So everything on the different courses are under here. It goes by class 1, class 2, and then it has, you can see the guides. It'll start, it'll say, so all of that is on there, and the quizzes. Once you do something, you can click done. So if you look at one of these things, click done so we know that you guys are doing it. Okay. So once you do the class, you listen to the class, click done. That way we know you did it. We know you looked at it. And then if you guys can drop some comments under the videos of how you felt about the class, what came up for you, things like that. Also, you don't have to do it for everyone, but for the classes especially, I would love some feedback on the instructors, the facilitators. Also, give them some feedback on how they did as well. But that's where they're going to be. All of them will be here under here, and I'm going to keep doing it. The next one will actually say series 2, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. And this was series 1, okay? The prayer or the guided meditation that we did last time, there's a separate one on the class that we did. So look at class 3, and this is the actual Ho'oponopono prayer that I did separate. That one is also located on my YouTube channel, so you can access that one through there as well. So that's where you're going to go to really look at the guides. Everything that we do for this course or the series will be located in the group. All right. So that's all I have on that. And then Saturday, we're going to be doing the group healing with Vera Lynn, who is the Geo Love Specialist. You guys saw her in, I think, class 2. She's going to be doing a clearing. It's called Geo Love. That's the actual modality that she does. So we'll basically I'll be facilitating her, but you guys, if you want to do it, it'll be Saturday. We start at 4 p.m. To 6 p.m. I will only be giving maybe 5 to 10 minutes for people to be late because it's a meditation. And the way that she does it, I don't know if she's going to allow people that late to come in, or you have to be on time. There's a limited amount of seats available because she only can have so many people in that group that she's doing. So if you want to be in there, make sure you email me or send me a message so that I can send you the official email and put you on the list. And I will email you the link to access it, because I'm not putting the link of this in the group because, again, I don't want everyone just coming. She told me there's a limited amount of people that she can accept, and so I have to cut it off at a certain time, okay? So if you do want to be there, again, all you do is show up and you go through the clearing. She will explain. I'm not a Geo Love Specialist, so I cannot explain to you what exactly happens. I've actually never done her session, so I don't know how it works. But she's going to go through all of that, of course, before she goes into the actual clearing. So she'll discuss that in this session, and that's Saturday at 4 p.m. So I just wanted to make sure I let you guys know that. I'll keep reminding people in the group about it, but again, it's limited spaces. So just so you guys know. So
that's not going to be something that we can like watch later, because I work Saturday and I usually get off at 4:30, but it takes me an hour to get home. So
yeah,
I'll be late. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you
Right.
won't be able to watch that later because it is she does an actual. The only thing I can tell you is that she does a clearing. So you have to be in meditation while she's connecting to your energy. And
I
so
want to do it so
yeah,
bad.
she's basically clearing stuff from you while you're in meditation. And again, I can't explain to the extent because I've never learned about Geo Love, nor have I ever done it. So I don't want to say it wrong, but I know that that's how kind of the clearing goes because a couple of the ladies have done it that are in the group, and they've said good things about it. So but yeah, you have to be there to experience that. You won't be able to go back and watch that one.
You're gonna have to make one for a later time for those of us
Yeah.
who do work. So that would be
Now,
great.
Vera Lynn is a part of Healing Beyond Humanity, so she does volunteer. We might be able to get her again for September. I don't know what her calendar is looking like right now. So as of now, that's the only date I have for her until she gives me that she can do another date.
Does she offer like that type of
She does
personally?
one-on-ones. Yeah, she does one-on-ones.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I don't know if I have under somewhere, let me see. Under somewhere in the group. I don't know if I actually put her information though. Oh, her website's not on there. I'm gonna
But isn't
ask.
she in our group chat and stuff like that? So I
Admin.
can personally message her. Okay,
she's
I'll just do that. I'll just do that. I didn't know she did that. But yeah, I'm really interested. I don't want to be late, and I really want to do it.
Yeah, because from what I'll ask her again just to see, but from what I know is that you have to be in that meditation because of how she does it. But I'll ask her again, but I'm pretty sure you've got to be there. And you got to be in meditation. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure you guys know. But I'll be posting the next other facilitators that I'm working with for shadow work. So you guys will be able to see that. Anybody that comes on, just so you guys know, it's not an album. It's just, I probably should have made an album actually, the facilitators, but I'll be posting their names and what they do, their, stuff like that. So that is it for tonight, y'all. This was pretty quick. Oh, I didn't even see that. You can zoom in. I was like, thanks, Boo. And yeah, you guys, if you missed the other ones, go check them out and then get excited for the next one. I'm excited for the next one too. It might trigger us a little bit more, but it's all good.
We need it.
Oh, tis the season. We're going into fall. So fall is a darker time of year. It's probably the best time to do your shadow work anyway. It's that time of year anyway, right?
For sure.
So might as well open up some bag of shit. It is what it is.
Right.
All right, good night, you guys.
Good night. Thank you so much for doing this.
Bye. Good night.
All right, bye.
And I do